Shalom, Kohalo Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua. I'd like to give all praise and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakah Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, elders, bishops, a great millstone. Shalom, Labakarium, Shaw, Yasharallah, to the hopeful election of Israel out there. Peace to you. What we have here, we have the world superpowers, they pledging to avoid nuclear war, right? The bare minimum. Liars. This war is of the Father. You can't stop prophecy, although they would like to. Now let's listen to these fools, and we're going to go right into the second Ezra, the 16th chapter. These plagues are sent out on the earth, and they will not return.
4 days into 2022, and we are already looking at a fake New Year resolution. Who's making it? The P5, the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, the United States, Britain, Russia, China, and France. What is their resolution? To never fight a nuclear war. Now, this resolution is a rarity. You see, the P5 never agree on anything, not on climate change, not on COVID-19, not even a universal ceasefire. So how did they agree to this one? A, because it is not a sincere promise, and B, because it is the bare minimum. Let me show you what the joint statement says. I'm quoting, "We reaffirm that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought. As nuclear use would have far-reaching consequences, we also affirm that nuclear weapons, for as long as they continue to exist, should serve defensive purposes, deter aggression, and prevent war." How very thoughtful. World powers are kind enough to let humanity survive. They're generous enough to avert a nuclear apocalypse. What are they expecting in return? A thank you note? The fact is that the
Let's
P5...
see what the Father got to say about that. This is second Ezra 16. Let's go right in. Let's start at verse 3. "A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back?" Now we know Romans 15:4. Those things that were written aforetime were written for our learning today. So these prophecies was written back in the day for our learning today. If these prophecies were written, that means it shall be. It shall come to pass. So a sword is sent unto you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? No one. Plagues are sent upon you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away an hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it have begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? Which that arrow? Those the missiles. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them back? Look, we know they're just trying to save face right now. They want to keep everybody's mind off of these bombs while they go deeper into this third war. So the Lord calls these bombs, this is going to be the plague, man. This is going to be the plague that Zechariah saw. Zechariah 14:12. It's going to be the plague that's in Revelations that's going to come upon this place, the lake of fire. And it's all over the scriptures. 9th verse. "A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? No one. He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord or Yahweh shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder in his presence," man. When the Lord make a statement, it shall be done. The Lord is not a man that he shall lie. Now, I know this may make a lot of these non-believers, feel good. See, it won't be they're promising not to use these bombs. Man, you're sadly mistaken. It's not up to them. The Lord said, even though they were afraid, they durst fight. The Lord's going to take control of this whole situation. He working on the minds of the military generals now. The spirits are working, man. 12th verse. "The earth quaketh when them bombs hit." Man, they splitting, man. This whole earth is going to shake. It's going to rock out of its place. "The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before Yahweh and before the glory of his power, man. That's why I tell you, and also in Revelations, the 8th chapter, they call that warm wood. The waters turn to acid, man. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. So who missiles are these? At the end of the day, the Lord, Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh put the spirit on these scientists to come up with this monster here, because it's ultimately going to be used. And the Lord himself is a consuming fire, so he's in the midst of these missiles. And it will be a controlled war, even though it looked like all-out chaos. The Lord is in the midst of this war. He hosted the war. 13th verse again. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows, which are the missiles, that shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss. It shall not miss. Accuracy. Why? Because the angels going to be taking control. They're going to take control of every missile that's guided, man. Every guided missile that has several warheads up inside of the top cone of the missile. So it says it should not miss. And when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world, why is it the ends of the world? Because look where Russia's located. And they're going to shoot from over there, from the east, up northeast to the west. As well as, China, they're going to be doing their thing. That's from one end of the world over here to the other, to the end. Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return, man. So this is the Lord's word. And when these missiles are going out, just like when they're created, they're not going to destroy these missiles. As you're going to see further on in the report, they're not doing away with these missiles. It said, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth, man. This thing is going to happen. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. This is written and said, it is done. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. There's no turning back now. Woe is me. This was Ezra as he saw this. He was in a hologram seeing this. He said, woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in this day, man? It's a terrible day. It's a day of judgment. The day of judgment. The beginning of sorrows and great mourning. The beginning of famines and great death. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come, man? You ain't stopping this with your little pacts and treaties.
Has brought us to the brink of nuclear apocalypse. Put together, they have 12,620 nuclear warheads. Enough to flatten the earth. Their armies are engaged in multiple standoffs. Russia and America and Ukraine, China and America and Taiwan, China again in the Himalayas. So they have the warheads. They are threatening war. But they're also urging peace and disarmament. Let me go back to the joint statement. Here's what it says on dismantling nukes. We underline our desire to work with all states to create a security environment more conducive to progress on disarmament, with the ultimate goal of a world without nuclear weapons with undiminished security for all. Sounds great again. No nukes, yet complete security. But what are these countries doing to achieve it? Look at China, for instance. Right now, they have around 350 nuclear warheads, 350. But reports say that they're expanding. By 2027, China could have 700 nukes. And by 2030, 1,000. Now, these numbers were published by the Pentagon. So, yes, it could be an exaggeration. But the intent is unquestionable. China is building around 200 new missile silos. They're making road-based intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're commissioning nuclear-armed submarines. Last year, they also tested a hypersonic missile. Clearly, Beijing is gathering more nukes. But if you ask them, it's all part of what they call modernization.
It is not our policy to expand dramatically, or in the word of the US, remarkably, the nuclear capabilities. And secondly, it doesn't mean that China is not modernizing. We do not deny that China has taken measures to modernize our nuclear arsenal, if not for other reasons, but for reliability and safety issues.
Same with Russia. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia inherited all their nuclear weapons. Most of them were decommissioned. But around 6,200 nukes remain. Is Moscow planning to dismantle them? On paper, yes, it is. But just last month, they threatened to deploy nuclear missiles in Eastern Europe. 20 days later, they're talking about a nuke-free world. What about America? Similar story. They have around 5,500 nukes lying around, but apparently it's not enough. The US Air Force has ordered more than 600 nuclear missiles. They can travel 6,000 miles. Their warhead is 20 times more powerful than the bomb they dropped in Hiroshima. And they will be ready to use by 2029. Total cost, more than $100 billion. How does America get away with this expansion? Same way as China does. They don't call it expansion, they call it modernization. Technically, these new missiles will replace old ones. But why not retire them completely? Because the US is not sincere. France, by the way, was not even happy with this resolution. Their policy permits first use of nuclear weapons, meaning they don't have to wait for an attack. They can fire nukes as a warning. In fact, the French Air Force practices this a lot. Every 3 months, they hold poker drills. French jets and tankers practice dropping nuclear bombs. Nothing says non-proliferation like mock drills on dropping nukes. All these countries are expanding their nuclear arsenal. They are preparing for war or threatening war. So who made them the guardians of the nuclear club? A treaty from the Cold War. It was signed in 1968. It is called the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. There were two parties to this deal. On one side, the P5, US, Britain, France, Russia and China. 5 countries. On the other side, 191 non-nuclear states. It was always a lopsided deal. Since 1968, more countries have acquired nukes: India, Pakistan and North Korea, also Israel, though it does not admit it. The NPT does not recognize these nuclear powers. They still focus on the P5, which is why the system is doomed for failure. Take Iran or North Korea, for instance. Both countries are being asked to abandon their nuclear program. I agree they should. But how can America or Russia or Britain convince them to do that? You cannot hoard thousands of nukes at home and then preach non-proliferation abroad. The P5 must lead by example. They should recognize the new nuclear powers. They should work towards a new and contemporary...
Man, had enough of that right there. Let me get one more scripture. Let me get one more scripture. Okay. Actually, 2 more. Let's see here. This thing's going down, man. You know, there's no pulling back. It's above these people head. This is from the Father. Isaiah 9 verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be done with burning and fuel of fire. And also the people are going to be fueled too. When you read on in this chapter, the Lord's going to use the people. Everything here is going to steam up. This is Revelations 11 verse 14. The second woe is past. So that was World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So I'd like to give all praise to Yah, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakadash. Double honor to the elders of the great millstone. Shalom.